It is near deadlock as championships go, and it could all hinge on these final 4 rounds of the season. We start this final third leg at a massive throwback circuit, pretty much the throwback circuit to end all throwback circuits out there. We find ourselves perfectly poised at Willow Springs, at the Big Willow, here in Rosamond, California. This is your Grand Prix Legend Series for your Lotus 49s, and we are getting set for what is some incredible racing action on the horizon. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry, and alongside me in the booth for today's action is Joey Atterbury. Christian Deploy is in the director's chair. He's using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But what can be said around a circuit that means so much in the greater zeitgeist of racing folklore and history? It's more than just a racetrack, some will say. It is an icon, and let's get an understanding of this icon with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Willow Springs International Raceway. As the oldest permanent road course in the U.S., it holds a particular place of distinction among American motorsports fans. The circuit is just an hour and a half north of Los Angeles, and because of this, it has been used in various films and TV shows over the years. With only 9 turns over 2.5 miles, or just over 4 kilometers, you'd think it's a pretty simple affair. But the incredible camber, numerous elevation changes, and some diabolically fast corners means there's complexities here to keep drivers busy for years. The downside is that there are a few heavy braking zones throughout the lap, and most are not in a straight line. Rabbit's Ear and Turn 9 each require the driver to carry tremendous speed and aim for frighteningly late apexes. Meanwhile, the run past the Budweiser balcony all the way through the Monroe Ridge takes you on a roller coaster of rises and drops, all while dipping left and right with wild changes in banking. Sadly, there are a few series that visit the track in present day, but it stays extremely active through club racing, driver coaching, and private test days. It has long been a favorite for both fans and drivers, and once you get onto the track, it'll be easy to see why.
And this circuit truly proves that amazing action is available. This is a facility, Joey, that is quote-unquote for sale at the moment. And my word, would I love to own this piece of real estate right now.
It's a pretty neat place out there in California. Like you said, out in Rosamond, Southern California, 9 turns is what makes up Willow Springs International Raceway. And I should say it makes up Big Willow. Several racetracks here at Willow Springs, but we are racing the lone big track known as Big Willow. It is very fast and flowing, but it's also extremely low grip throughout this place. Sector 1, call it turns 1 through 5, probably your most technical area, up through the 3, 4, 5 section by the Budweiser balcony and Monroe Bridge. That's going to be your slowest area of the racetrack, and it's also the highest point in the elevation. There's a little bit of a kind of a downhill with the compression there through Monroe Bridge, but after that, it's put your right foot to the floor. See how brave you are through the sweeper, which is known as Turn 8, but be careful of Turn 9. You see it actually tightens up before it hits that front straightaway. Finding the dirt on driver's left is a very popular choice.
Quote unquote, that sweeper turn 8 is the fastest corner this side of the Mississippi, so to speak. But this is a track which pretty much challenges all the drivers' intuitive skills. It's a corner of decreasing speed as you always try and get through, but there's a lot of elevation change around this track, and so opportunities knock at every opportunity. Let's talk championship standings though, because this is an important one. As things stand, with the drop rounds included, Togo Hesada is 7 points to declare over Jorge Nieva, with Nicola Cocchi throwing his name in the ring. He finds himself 28 points adrift in third. Fourth belongs to JDS, Jack David Spickett, the current Lotus 79 championship leader, with Connor Tolman in fifth and Kevin Verbruggen in sixth position. It is a blanket to be thrown sixth through eighth, with Sebastian Tixier and Marco Antonio Lopez there behind by just one championship point. David Rossi is in ninth place, with Gary Ho rounding out the top 10 as things currently stand. F2, slightly different in terms of its story right now, but still equally as close here, Joey.
Extremely close up top. Look at the fight between Jonathan Jourdain, our leader, and Kirk Clapper, only 4 points behind. And then, yeah, there is a little bit of a gap down there to third place, but look at this. Third place through eighth place, there's less than 20 points separating these drivers. John Van Dorn, Thomas Willershausen, Jan Steffen, Jem Madsen, Alan Graham, and Roberto Pingrazzi, they are all locked in that fight. Another little bit of a gap back here to Tomas Tuba, and then Shinsuke Tashima rounding out that F2 driver standings inside the top 10 currently.
Yeah, and that's going to be worth keeping a track on. The Cup of Nations right now is being held firmly by Spain, but it's a who's who behind trying to battle for second, and the final two spots there, the United Kingdom ahead of Japan, Singapore, and the United States of America, with Italy and the Netherlands tied on points, 6th and 7th, making a very good football match between the pair. Sweden find themselves in 8th, ahead of Germany, who are 9th, and it's the Australians who round out the top 10, 179 points adrift as things stand. But for those who are brand new to racing here with the Lotus 49s here in the Grand Prix Legends Series, Joey, what do they have to tackle today?
We are just past the halfway point here in the season. Round 9 of 12. 26 laps around Big Willow's what everybody's going to have to do unless that leader comes up and laps you. No spare car in an open setup as always. I always tell everybody, join the community, go join the Discord page because they love sharing the fast stuff out there. If the car doesn't turn, they know all the secrets. If it's too much turn, well, guess what? They can help tighten that thing up. A drive-through penalty at 17x, a disqualification at 25 incident points here, and I say it every week with the open wheel cars, just don't go hitting your competitors. You should be able to stay on the track, and the cleaner you are, the more further forward you can. There's lots of desert sand out here to do runoff, though.
There absolutely is. So you've got a large amount of space if it does go wrong to go flying off. Qualifying is currently in the thralls at this moment. They have 8 minutes to set a qualifying time. They only get 2 laps worth of times to set. So in terms of putting it together, you got to be quick and you've got to be aggressive out there. Here is your championship leader, Togo Hasada. His first lap on the board put him 3rd fastest on a 16.6. He'll need 0.3 of a second to jump above both his main championship rivals here today of Nicola Cocchi in 2nd and Jorge Nieva, who currently holds the pole.
There's only about 1 minute left here in qualifying, so Togo needs to make this lap stick. He's actually tracking just to the good. I'm seeing about 0.2 to the good right now, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. It's going to put him right on top through turn 8 and then through turn 9, where it just slowly tightens up that little bit. He's still looking pretty good right now.
Taking a huge wide line, trying to dice in through on the corner, attacking off the exit, charging back up the hill towards the line. Togo Hasada crosses. It's a 16.7. It's not good enough to improve. The final 2 corners bled away in terms of time, and that will be that for everybody then in qualifying. And as such, the board is going to be set. So that pretty much says all you need to know. We'll be heading to qualifying results in the next 10 seconds or so, as the sessions will change over, but it is a topsy-turvy bit of qualifying effort. Some great drivers who have done well, but the main players of the game are up there the front of the field. It is car number 1, though, who will be on pole position. That's Jorge Nieva. Nicola Cocchi will be alongside for company on that front row. It's then Togo Hasada starting 3rd with Sebastian Tixier 4th. Kevin Verbruggen goes from 5th alongside Gary Ho. Connor Tolman starts 7th with Carl Ridley in 8th, and then it's Arturus Kundelis 9th and Hannah Fechner who rounds out the top 10.
Then in 11th comes Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado. David Rossi next to him in 12th. Jem Madsen starting in 13th with Bjorn Ackerman in 14th. Kirk Clapper in 15th, Michael Grissinger in 16th, Jonathan Jordan, your F2 points championship leader in 17th, with Roberto Pengrazzi in 18th, Robert Plumley starting 19th, and Matthew Maudsley from 20th.
It's a 26-car field here today. Tobias Hanvey will go from 21st with Cam Porter, ever the favourite, in 22nd. It's then Sandeep Banerjee and Juan Manuel Strano in 24th. The final two drivers split by iRacing as they didn't set a time. Jason Clapper, who loves starting from the back, along with Matt Linden, the number 22 machine, having to go all the way back there from P26. But it is, of course, 26 drivers for 26 laps worth of racing that they'll have to deal with in conditions today where the track is baking hot as the green flag goes and we are underway. And it looks like Nicola Cocchi has not had a great start to this race. He will now fall a little bit further back as now he sees Nieva there. Cocchi still in second, Hissada third, being challenged by Tixen through the Castrol corner to start. It looks like everybody has made their way through. The Rabbits here, turn two, this long, you wait forever to put the power down through here. The car will always want to throw you out wide, but this is where you need to be big into the Omega. Turns 3 and 4, one car off the road in the background, but everybody else clean as they start.
Yeah, and I was actually impressed with Seb Tixier looking around the outside of Togo Hissada there in turn 2 and 3. He didn't get the pass completely done as now the car is up and over the tallest point, that Budweiser balcony up here through the downhill section. This is a tricky little compression S section right here. You actually have a little bit of an overcrest, and with the gear shifts going up, the acceleration, the car gets extremely light and into the sweeper for the first time.
Yeah, this long sweeper is all about carrying momentum, and that momentum is going to be key. On the brakes then, through at turn 9, which ends the lap outright, on board with Sebastian Tixier, who's in 4th position, looking to run with Hissada in front, and Nicola Cocchi and Jorge Nieva, who loves the fact that he's going to be gaining at this phase. Look out in the background, though, side by side for fifth. Huge look at the inside. Kevin Verbruggen will go straight through the scrub.
And through all of that sand, he doesn't hit anything, but he's going to lose a ton of track position as Nicola Cocchi also lost second place there. I'm not sure what happened to the number 2 car, but Togo Hissada finds himself up into second place, and now Seb Tixier is the one that's kind of looking to the inside here, going up the left-hander, but Nicola Cocchi definitely had a mistake.
Yeah, he slid off at turn 1, the Castrol corner, very similar to Kevin Verbruggen, but not as dramatic. Tixier here, looking at this group in front, realising that there are going to be mistakes today. This isn't a track that's popularly run, so you've got to be switched on to what this track can do. Up over Monroe Ridge and heading back down the hill on sometimes what is known as the repass pass through the winged foot, and now heading over through the sweeper. Turns 8 and 9. Arturas Candelis here in 7th position, looking at Connor Tolman here in the classic Lotus 49 colours there in P6, who is hoping to try and leapfrog through the order. Gary Ho is just in front of him, and you can see these drivers using all of the circuit, including that pit entry.
It's pretty wild how fast these cars are coming out of that final corner. At the end of the straightaway, they're doing nearly 180 miles an hour, so they are definitely getting up and boogieing out there. Here's Kevin Verbruggen. Remember, he was the car that just went off last lap in turn number 1, way out there in the weeds. He did lose a lot of positions. He's all the way back there, I think, in 16th or so, but he is starting to make up that big old hole that he dug for himself.
Matthew Morsey there, and here goes the look around the outside of Tom, and Gary Ho through, Arturas Candelis through, up on the Omega. Kyle Ridley now down to the inside, hoping to find an angle, and through this section, he's got it after 4, commands the line at the one-line Tootsall, turn 5, out on track, and back over Monroe Ridge once again, has got it perfectly sorted.
And here we go. Let's see. Oh, and here comes the move from Candelis on the inside here. He is going to get it done. I think he's going to bring Gary Ho. No, Gary Ho's actually the one that's fallen back. Kyle Ridley is the one that's slipping through. And now a third car. That's Connor Tolman that's going to take advantage. Down to the inside. Barely swings it in front of Gary Ho. A great move in an incredibly fast corner.
A lovely, lovely bit of movement there, getting it sorted quite wonderfully. Togo Hissada with the fastest lap. There's another look on Gary Ho. That's Marco Antonio Lopez trying to find his way through and will manage it at the Castrol corner. And now suddenly it's Hannah Fechner. She's looking to try and find a way to gain another position. So all these moves are going one after another at this point. You cannot breathe. It's so easy to get freight trained here.
It really is, because if you just get pushed off of that racing line that little bit, it's such a struggle with how low grip this racetrack is to get back on that racing line. It seems like everybody just gets in that freight train and goes right on by. So Gary Ho right now sitting here in 10th place. I think he kind of wants to stop a little bit of that bleeding after letting about 4 of those cars right on through.
Yeah, so Gary Ho's got to try and reconnect and make that charge back up through the order to gain those places. Jason Clapper making his progress, as we often see him do. He's through on the likes of Sandeep Banerjee. Cam Porter to the inside. Big lunge by Jem Matzan, looking for a place here to jump up and gain that extra move. Little wiggles there by Sandeep Banerjee here on lap 4 of 26, heading on towards lap 5. And because of that, Sandeep Banerjee has now lost out a bunch of places.
And the purple fast lap goes to Nicola Kaki up there in the 3rd place. Now, as we kind of calm down everything just a little bit, I do want to make a note of what happened last week to our race leader, Jorge Nieva. He had a good run going, but had a little bit of a spin on his redemption drive through the field, Jake. Well, guess what? He was taken out by a lapped car. That was a huge hit to his points championship. I wonder if today is going to be that true redemption day for Nieva.
Well, Jorge Nieva knows that if it wasn't his fault last time out, and he lost a lot of points when he had that trouble, he will want to try and charge forward and gain what he can. Hemorrhage 30 points at Oran Park, and here at Willow Springs, the back-to-back victories of Togo Hesada has rocketed him into the championship lead, but now it's 1v1 between these two drivers, and Togo looks great. Kevin Verbruggen also looking to try and find a way back forward once again. He's got David Rossi in the sights here in P12.
This is coming into that final corner, turn number 9, as up front, Togo Hesada not close enough to make a move, but you see him just kind of feint to the inside a little bit, show the nose in the mirror to Jorge Nieva, and that's exactly what he was looking for right there. Nieva maybe just a little bit wide, putting 2 wheels in the dirt, as Gary Ho has had some problems just on lap number 6. A black flag, you're saying?
Yeah, it's a black flag. He's got a black flag, so he couldn't have possibly have hit 17 incident points already. Gary Ho having to serve the penalty. I wonder if he jumped the start and he's had to wait all the way till now to serve it.
It could be just a little bit odd all the way until the end of lap 5. So unfortunate for that driver that was having a really good run here in the first handful of laps, as it looks like David Rossi is back here on the back of Kevin Verbruggen. I think it's actually Kevin that's made his way through this number 13 car, and you're going to see him start to set sail, go and chase Bjorn Ackerman up there for a top 10.
We've got to look at that race lead, because it's not just 1, it's not just 2, it's 3 up here at the front as things stand. Nieva Hesada and Nicola Kaki is now starting to join on the scene, as Togo Hesada is trying to think about how he finds the way through on the Spaniard right now, thinking about it, moving over to the inside up the hill, but just doesn't have enough of a run. And this is a circuit that has remained largely unchanged over the decades, and because of that, it is a little bit tougher to make moves around here than some other tracks. Taking the big, long, wide line, hoping to find an angle on lap 7 of 26, powering off the exit, trying to get an angle. The understeer costs him, and he gets a big kick of oversteer, trying to bring it back to center.
Turn 3 is actually a pretty decent passing opportunity in these cars, because turn 1, or I should say turn 2, is so gosh dang long that, yeah, if you can convince that car up front to just go full defensive, you can kind of do a slingshot move into that apex and really dive into turn 3. We've seen Togo Hesada do it in seasons past, so I think that's exactly what he's trying to set up here. On the front straightaway, just it's not quite long enough to make that lunge into turn 1. He's going to have to force Nieva into a mistake.
Well, those are few and far between, so it might just need a little bit of just a bit of a shuffle, really. Togo Hesada is someone who knows this series outright, has been up at the very top for a very, very long time, and pretty much sits down as one of those drivers you look at and go, you know what? He's one of those I want to beat, and that's where they sit at this moment. A little bit further back down the groups, though. There's Jason Clapper trying to eye up his pass. He gets past the World of Kinducci, Robert Plumley. Car off there in the background is Sandeep Banerjee, who will seed one to Jem Matzan. But for Jason Clapper at this moment, he's got a massive gauntlet to go through. That's Pangrazzi running a little bit wide, and soon he'll have to get past Matthew Maudsley, then Pangrazzi, then Michael Grissinger, and then you've got Kurt Clapper, David Rossi, Kevin Verbruggen, Bjorn Ackermann. That entire group in reach.
Yeah, but let's welcome back Jason Clapper. It has been several months since we've seen Jason. Kurt has always been out here as a regular, but I think Jason took a little bit of a hiatus, so it's great to see this number 11 car right back in the thick of things, and he's doing exactly like he used to, not putting in a qualifying effort, starting from the back and having fun, challenging himself to make all of these passes before the race is over.
Look, every single pass that becomes available is a boon for so many people, for so many positions, for the all-important runs that are out there. You look around at Togo Hesada, a three-time champion in this series. Jorge Neva has been unable to jump onto that. He's been second for the past 2 seasons. He's been third in 2 seasons prior. There is Neva with the fastest lap trying to break away as things stand. There's Jason Clapper hoping that he can get another place done then at this moment, trying to run and rock it. And Matthew Maudsley's got that covered just for the time being, but watch out for the drives on the exit. I'll have to go to the outside for the Rabbits here.
It's so tricky, and you can often run out of road at the exit of turn number 1 there, but for the most part, knock on wood over here, that these drivers are doing a very, very good job. I haven't seen anybody go crazy far off track other than that opening lap there with Kevin Verbruggen, so all the drivers minding their P's and Q's, but this fight up front between Nieva, Hesada, and Kaki has kind of stayed put. Togo Hesada still can't find a way around Jorge Nieva, but I'm not sure how much pressure he can actually put on the guy.
Well, that's the question here at the end of lap 9. Look how close in the background they all start to get to the most famous engine in motorsport, the Ford DFV Cosworth. And now for Nicola Cocchi. He's got a chance, but Togo's also got a chance here on Jorge Nieva, trying to pivot towards that inside again, just keeping the pressure on, and that might be a slide. That's huge contact in the background there with Connor Tolman and co. Getting caught up a little bit there. Who's that that's gone spread eagle across the circuit? It's the lap traffic of Juan Manuel Strano, and there's been a bit of contact between Strano and Ridley.
Yeah, that was a huge incident coming out onto the front straightaway here, and I had mentioned Connor Tolman throughout the season. He really started off great with the podium there at the Nürburgring and has just been constantly improving, so he's able to get through it and still be in the top 10 as our leaders. Still closer than ever. It's still Nieva and then Hesada. Kaki in that green helmet, who's the third car in line. It's just who can make the opportunity present itself, and when the opportunity comes, who's going to put their foot in the door.
Now, the one thing we know about how these drivers set up the car is that Togo Hesada loves a primarily loose machine. It means that he has a car that very much he could fettle and fine-tune, and he can throw the car in the corner. He's always got to counterbalance to keep it pointing in the right direction. It's a bit more paint by numbers traditionally by Jorge Nieva, and that's why sometimes you see Hesada get a lot more cornering speed than some of his competitors out there. Again, he searches for that inside, but Jorge Nieva seemingly mastering how late you need to be on the brakes around here, out of the Castrol turn, and heading up for the Rabbit's Ear at turn 2 again. Everything in a state of stasis.
And Togo Hesada really testing the outside limit of the track. You see Kaki all the way on the inside. That third car is just not close enough to really take advantage of Hesada being so far out there. So I think that Togo is okay. His safety net is all right there in second place. But if Kaki in third place is able to close it up anymore, you have to be careful about leaving that inside door open, as it looks like Kurt Clapper is going to move himself up into 12th.
Well, in fact, that's David Rossi going up into 11th there. So those two really having a wonderful battle out there. So, sorry, 12th and 13th on screen right now. David Rossi just about doing enough. big shout out to the likes of Marco Antonio Lopez and Hannah Fechner, who are up 5 and 3 spaces respectively. But watch again at Togo Hesada here on lap 11 right now. Hopefully we'll get that on the ticking tower as we get to see those laps, because we're heading over towards halfway in just a couple of laps time. Hesada again staying close, staying resolute, but once more it's Jorge Nieva, who's very happy just to hold station.
And I think that turn 1 is pretty easy to defend going into. You can actually go late, too late on the brakes into 1, but there's no straightaway in between turns 1 and 2 here. So as long as you find yourself on the right side of the road and physically still on the road, it sets you up for a great defensive line into turn number 2. So it can be really, really tough to overcommit yourself on the brakes into turn number 1 to try to make a pass like that stick.
Well, now you've got to see where those passes stick, and Jason Clapper again going what is going to be the outside line into the Omega at turn 3, and he proves he is alpha over Michael Grissinger, comfortably dispatches the pass.
See what happens here now. Jason Clapper is going to try to hunt down his brother Kurt Clapper, who's right in front of him. So Grissinger's going to try to attach himself to the gearbox there of that number 11 and try to move forward as we get up here to this battle. This is Antonio Lopez Salgado hanging out in the 6th place position. Hannah Fechner in that green number 9 car. That's the car right behind, going out onto the straightaway, looking for that opportunity, maybe a little bit of a slipstream to try to make a lunge into turn 1.
Trying to find that throw as Togo Hesada again stays within a 10th and a half out there at this point. Fechner not close enough, she isn't, to make that pass on Marco Antonio Lopez. It's always difficult, and it's a group of 5 at the moment here that they've got as Maudsley continues on his battle with Robert Plumley. You had there, of course, Marco Antonio Lopez and Hannah Fechner, but Kyle Ridley along with Connor Tolman and Kevin Verbruggen.
Up around turn number 2, and this is that fight that you were just talking about with Connor Tolman and Kevin Verbruggen. So Connor Tolman's that green and yellow traditionally painted Lotus car. Kevin Verbruggen's in that light blue number 7, that 3rd car in line, and they're all trying to get by Kyle Ridley. Oh, a little bit of a checkup there coming up over the crest. That's going to give an opportunity here for Kevin Verbruggen on Connor Tolman. Not quite of a long enough straightaway going into the sweeper to really present the car down to the inside.
And that's the key with this circuit. You need an extra 50 up to 100 meters on both of those straights to really throw out an overtake. That's going to be important. But Kevin Verbruggen right now with Connor Tolman, Kyle Ridley, Hannah Fechner, Marco Antonio Lopez stuck in stasis, and Verbruggen will be ruining the fact that he can't make these places, considering that he was inside the top 5 in qualifying, and it was his mistake at the Castro corner on lap 2 which pretty much cost him the run that he was hoping today.
It's tough when you make the mistake yourself, but at the same time, you've got nobody to blame. You can only look at yourself and, hey, you can either give up or pick up all of the pieces and dust out all of that sand from inside the race car. That's exactly what Kevin Verbruggen has decided to do. I think he was all the way back there, 19th, 20th spot, and now he's fighting up here for a top 10, almost to the inside of Connor Tolman. That was eerily close to some contact.
It was. You could see the kick of oversteer on the camera there, just how much Kevin Verbruggen had to get out of it, heading now up over Monroe Ridge and heading over towards, which is the repass passes now at the front of the field. Togo Hesada, this is a 10-point championship swing. If he can make this pass, it's the difference between being 2 points ahead in the championship and being 12 points ahead in the championship. Not close enough to make that pass. If Nieva's first and Hesada's third, it's Nieva who will walk over to Daytona as the championship leader. So Nicola Cocchi has a big game to play in this race.
Not only that, I'm getting word behind the scenes, Togo Hesada's closer than ever. He's not going to be there to make the lunge into 3, but I see what he's doing there. He's sneakily trying to get that exit out of 2 in order to make a big-time lunge into 3 and try to surprise Nieva there. But I was going to say that it's actually Jorge Nieva's birthday today. What better birthday present than a victory flag at the end of it all?
Well, if he has got the biggest birthday treat out there overall. He'll be hoping that race victory comes along as a present oh so sweet from these two drivers behind. They've dropped Sebastian Tixier to the tune of 6 seconds here in this one. They will have lap traffic to deal with. That's again Juan Manuel Strano. And now look at how these drivers are trying to maximize the exit coming out of turn number 9 to get that launch on the straight. Nicola Cocchi tried to get a good run here on lap 15 of 26. Here comes the charge up the hill towards turn 1. Yeva again has the straight line to cover everybody.
Now let's see, this is the area of the racetrack. Look at the alternative lines. Oh, we're actually going to get a lap car right in front of our leader. This might play into Togo Asada's hands. Togo has to lift off to dive that nose down. Now our leader's going to chuck it to the inside. Togo's making an aggressive move, backs out of it, thinks wisely of that one.
There was just about 1 car's width on that inside, and Togo Asada was not willing to sacrifice his race and potentially the championship lead to make that move happen. Better heads prevailed in the moment. Why? Because Nicola Cocchi, he goes straight on at turn 5, down the hill, off camber, and just like that, he might just be out of the battle for the race lead. It's 9/10, if not a second.
Yeah, I definitely lost a little bit of that track position, but I think he will be able to crawl it back, especially with Togo going up there and fighting with Nieva. Now, this is a battle a little bit further back. Roberto Pingrazzi is currently holding it on over Robert Plumley, Matthew Maudsley, all arguing for what is 16th place out on the racetrack, down through that Monroe Bridge, up over this little crest here. So tricky as Togo Asada once again presents the car into turn number 1, but it is so easy to go way crazy deep on the brakes into turn 1. That's exactly what Nieva's doing. The best defense out there.
Well, it's a very wonderful defense right now from Jorge Nieva. He is doing everything possible right now to hold this together. It is being patchwork put together as Robert Plumley now looks at Roberto Pingrazzi for 16th position, going along the outside. Try and get this move sorted. Now, can he get the turn in and drive off of the exit? Fighting's got the inside for the next section of road. But with Maudsley, there's also Cam Porter who's on that group. But watch Roberto on that outside. If he can just pinch enough on the inside line, he can attack off the exit like so. But he has a bundle of understeer. Bye-bye, Robert Plumley.
Oh my goodness, and yeah, you gotta be careful, spin it around, and now you're really truly out there with the cactuses and the lizards. Find the racetrack and get back going again.
Yet a long road for recovery for the Londoner, as he will have a lot to do to get himself back into play. There is Kevin Verbruggen. He's got eyes set on Kyle Ridley for position. Fechner and Lopez in front of that, and this is what's making life difficult for Kevin Verbruggen, is that Kyle Ridley gets a tow from Hannah Fechner in front and he struggles to find an angle. Now he throws it up the inside. Can he get it slowed up this time as he understeers through the corner? Yes, he can.
Yeah, and every time he goes into turn 1, he has to kind of remember what happened on lap number 2. So yeah, how deep do you really push it? As Cam Porter on the outside, he's the red car going into turn number 1 here, fighting it out with Roberto Pingrazzi. Pingrazzi's got the inside, so Cam Porter is going to have to slip back in line, look for a new way around turn number 2. But I was mentioning turn number 1 there with Kevin Verbruggen. He went off crazy deep early on. It makes it a little bit more tough to commit to those lunges every single car you come up to.
It really does, and there is Kurt Clapper, who is going to lose out on a place. That's David Rossi that he goes through, very nearly taking out rear left tyre of David Rossi, as Jason Clapper's dispatched the pair of them out there at the moment and continues on his race. But right now, Togo Asada, how long is he going to wait? 18 laps at the start of lap 19. He thought about it, dancing his way through the corner. He never ever looks truly settled. He's a live wire when he's in behind the machine. He's always fiddling and trying to make sure he's got something going on with that steering wheel as he tries to balance throttle and brake as best as possible. Still a little bit of counter steer off of the exit. Still can't find the angle at the Omega, but he might just find it there. That's a bit of a wiggle from Jorge Nieva, who's got to go defensive up the Budweiser gallery.
Yeah, I just don't think that there's an opportunity to go over-under in this section of the racetrack. You see Togo's all over the back of the lead car, but there's just nowhere to go with it. So maybe if you can force Nieva off the line right here, up over the crest, which he's right on it, up through the gears, right back on to hitting all of his marks. So yeah, a little bit of a mistake out of Nieva, but not enough to draw Togo Asada alongside to really make sort of any move.
Well, it's all about movement, finding that chance. Pangrazzi throws one down the inside and says, out of my way. Matthew Maudsley abandoning stage right at the massive throw of a move by the Italian.
And things are really busy up there for that 6th, 7th, 8th place. Same thing with our leaders. Roberto Pangrazzi is now going to be working forward, try to go hunt down Cam Porter that tried to escape out of it all.
And suddenly, Jorge Nieva is really having to work. He just dipped a tyre off the road at turn 2, just about gathered it back up together, but the margins are finite.
I've noticed one thing out of Jorge Nieva the last 2 laps that I haven't seen. Now, I had been mentioning turn 2 and turn 3 for Togo Asada, that the lunge might come in turn number 3, but Jorge Nieva has kind of been opening up turn number 2 ever so more every single lap. Now, that might present an opportunity for Togo to kind of throw a curveball and throw it down the inside of turn number 2 later in the race. So I think there's some chess games starting to be formulated right now.
Yeah, and speaking of which, David Rossi off the road at the exit of 2 at the Omega and up over the top. Can't quite find the option, and Kurt Clapper has to fall behind a chance that was there. Now Togo Asada really trying to throw the dive down at the inside on lap 21 with what is 6 laps to go here at Willow Springs. Still finds himself stymied.
And because the TV angles, I can tell you that Jorge Nieva is being very smart in turn 1. He's leaving the door completely open on the inside, which allows him to go that little bit deeper. This is that turn 3 opportunity. You see Asada present the car, but he's just not close enough. The brake zone there isn't big enough to make that dramatic of a lunge. So I feel if anything's going to happen, it's going to be a little bit of a mistake here from Nieva, but once again, just no room for Togo to capitalize.
There's a little kink right before turn 5, and that's where Nieva is able to build up that margin. On the exit of turn 5, car off in front of them on the road. That, once again, is Juan Manuel Strano, who's having a torrid time of things here today. But again, it is Jorge Nieva who's throwing it in. Hannah Fechner in a bit of a battle there with Kevin Verbruggen and co. Now right in the middle of this pack. Nowhere for Carl Ridley to go. He falls in line.
Yeah, Verbruggen's that second car in line. Fechner's that bright green car leading this quattro of cars here. And Verbruggen, remember, he was the one that was all the way up front, went to the back after turn number 2, and now he finds himself fighting for a top 10 again.
Well, right now it's 7th place, which he wants, and I tell you what, that's a bit wide by Hannah Fechner. She's going to be in a bit of trouble here on this straight, and immediately Kevin Verbruggen gets through and only needs that as the one opportunity there. So Hannah Fechner has to lose out on that battle, but that's how quickly you can lose a place here at Willow Springs.
Gotta be careful with those rear tires. If you overheat them, they just are not going to be there when you need to really drive the car forward. And once again, you see Togo just present the inside of the car to Jorge Nieva. He knows that's not a passing opportunity there, but it's all about those variables. If you can get him looking in that mirror, well, guess what? That means his eyes aren't on the racing line. Just put more and more variables on that leader. Maybe sometime it'll crack.
And the way they've been pushing, they've pulled nearly 3 seconds on Nicola Cocchi here in 3rd place, which goes to show you how hard they are having to work just to gain a millimetre out here on circuit compared to the other. Right now, these two proving that this is going to be a tough order. Nieva going for his first championship. Asada looking for yet another championship to add to the pocket, a 4th championship here with the Lotus 49 Grand Prix legends around the long rabbit's ear once again. And now you're starting to think here for Togo Hesada, has he maybe shown his hand with where he wants to make these moves? And when is he going to uncork an ungodly attack?
Yes and no, Jake, right? There's only 9 turns, so there's only so many places that you can present an opportunity, and I think that when you start really just getting the maximum performance out of these cars, they kind of slingshot their way around certain sections of this racetrack, because it looks like Pengrazi is going to be hanging on right there. Matthew Maudsley, Jem Matson, all in this battle for what is 17th, 18th, but I don't know. I think if you're going to circle a section of the racetrack for our leader, it's turn 1, turn 2, or turn 3. Those are the 3 possible opportunities.
1, 2, and 3. Well, some would say it as easy as that, but Pengrazi proving how difficult it needs to be in order to make an overtake up over the top of the hill. Still on the inside of the Omega is Matthew Maudsley. Yeah, with the fast lap, contact there, and suddenly Pengrazi holds, Maudsley holds, and Jem Matson somehow doesn't find a way through.
Oh, and a little bit wide there, and he's going to give up all of those positions as Pengrazi after getting by, so Slide Roberto back to 19th place, is going to have to pick up all the pieces, and with only a few laps remaining, it's going to be a little bit of a tall order as Cam Porter slides himself up into 15th place here in that red and checkerboard color car. It's got Michael Grissinger right in front. Maybe with 2 laps to go here, Cam can do something about it.
Well, Cam's wanting to get those moves, but we'll have to look at the front of the field right now because of Nieva, because of Hesada, because of the meaning of this moment. This is a momentum changer in what has been a truly tight championship. Nieva on his birthday, looking to bounce back after disappointment last week at Oran Park. Togo Hesada on the cusp of 3 straight victories to try and consolidate his championship lead out there overall, rushing through the final corner, turn 9, climbing up the hill with a couple of laps to go in what have been stiflingly hot track conditions, blustering winds at 18 kilometers an hour, and in towards the Castrol corner once again. Nieva still keeps 1 car length as a buffer.
This is the most crucial couple laps of the race. You're sweating. You've done 24.5 laps so far already. The mental fatigue is there. Your competitor has been pushing you this entire time. It is all up to Jorge Nieva. He just needs to limit the mistakes. He'll collect that checkered flag, but it is going to be as tough as ever. Togo Hesada is right on the gearbox, right behind Jorge Nieva. He's going to try to make an opportunity present itself going into the sweeper, and actually Nieva's a little bit off there on the line. Togo Hesada is going to be closing it up here into 8 and 9.
Absolutely will there. A small kick of oversteer needing to be corrected, and it's going to be Togo Hesada who will be all over it. He will pounce up upon it like a rash and trying to get what he needs right up underneath. Heading to the final lap here at Willow Springs. Togo Hesada versus Jorge Nieva, and here at turn 1, this might be Togo's chance. He's waited all race to try and throw this one move. Dives down on the inside, slides through the corner. Togo half spins, and he might lose second as well. Out there to Nicola Cocchi. He's got to get on, but Cocchi's run wide, and he won't capitalise on it. A massive saving grace for Togo Hesada there is that Nicola Cocchi's mistake will cost him the championship lead overall, exiting Willow Springs today. Oh my goodness me, what amazing battling we got for Bruhan. Not clear yet, still not clear as well as Connor Tolman, with Carl Ridley trying to find an angle to the inside up at the Rabbits corner, turn number 2. But you have to sit down and say, what does that mean to stave off the challenges, to hold firm and steadfast in what has been possibly the toughest race of the season so far? And this is one retaliatory strike on a season which has been so up and down and all around. Happy birthday, Jorge Nieva, driving to the line, will step 5 points closer with this big win.
I am smiling, and look at this, off of the jump through the infield. I love the victory celebration as we watch the rest of the cars come through. Togo Hesada does manage to finish in second place. Nicola Kaki, I tell you what, he had second place right in front of him as Kevin Verbruggen's going to come home, finish in seventh place there, and I believe, who was that? Was that Kyle Ridley? Yeah, he's still going to manage the top 10, but albeit a little bit of a dirty car.
Yeah, so he has a massive slide through the final corners. That cost him there. Kurt Clapper trying to steal one late through the final corner. Michael Grissinger is going to have his pocket pick, but it's all about slipstream on the run to the line, and a little bit there is going to work. Two more go off in the background, by the way. One of them, Jonathan Jourdain, the other, Roberto Pangrazzi, as they come to the line. So some wonderful, wonderful battling through. Robert Plumley, the last on the leading lap, going through as they cross the line. We can now go and get classified results on what has been a tremendous race here at Willow Springs. 25 laps of pure defense, holding the door open. It was just enough for Jorge Nieva to come to the line and pick up the victory, and does so to the tune of 2.8 seconds over Togo Hesada, who ends up in second. Nicola Kaki, with his mistake on the final lap at the first corner, ensures Togo Hesada holds the championship lead by remaining back there in third place. Sebastian Tixier comes across in fourth, with Arturus Candelis rounding out the top five. You've then got Marco Antonio Lopez, who had a great race today, in sixth, ahead of Kevin Verbruggen, seventh, recovering. Great drive to see from Hannah Fechner. She finishes off in eighth place, with Connor Tolman ninth, and Carl Ridley rounding out the top 10.
Welcome back, Jason Clapper, once again picking up where he left off. Biggest mover, up 14 positions to finish in 11th. Bjorn Ackerman in 12th. David Rossi 13th. Cam Porter, nice moves at the end of that to finish in 14th. Michael Grissinger 15th. Kirk Clapper 16th. Matthew Maudsley 17th. Jem Matson 18th. Roberto Pangrazzi 19th. And Jonathan Jourdain finishing in 20th.
Over the page then to the last two runners on the leading lap, Tobias Hanvey and Robert Plumley. 1 lap down for Mats Linden and a finish 3 laps down for Juan Manuel Strano. It was troubles though for Sandeep Banerjee and for Gary Ho, who of course had the black flag early on in this race. So he found himself in trouble and pretty much out of the race early. That is your results then here from Willow Springs, but we'll get a chance to talk to some of those drivers. Joining us right now is Jorge Nieva. He stood by with Joey Atterbury.
Oh my goodness, what a better birthday present than a race win. Congratulations, Mr. Nieva.
Thank you, Joey.
How was it? Are you done sweating? Have you been able to catch your breath yet?
I'm sweating, of course. Every race I am all full of sweat because it's very hot here. But it was really hard to keep Togo behind. He was faster than me, but I think he probably made a little mistake in the second lap of quali, so I could make my pole win.
So let me ask you, because we were speculating, where did you think Togo was going to make the move? Were you expecting the lunge into turn number 1, or were you waiting for it to happen somewhere else?
Well, last time we were here, I spent a lot of laps behind Glenn Becker, and I couldn't pass him, and he ended up in podium. And I saw that turn 1 is very, very difficult if you make a pretty good final turn. So I thought he was going to try in the hairpin zone, but he tried a couple of times, but not enough to pass. So I was lucky, I suppose.
I mean, this is a huge win, especially after last week. You know, a lot of disappointment last week. Does this mean more momentum? Does this kind of reignite the fire to try to take this championship away from Togo Hesada? I believe you're still sitting up front.
Yeah, I think he is P1 in the championship, and next race I will be out of home. I will be on vacation, Probably I try to carry my G25, my old wheel, and set up somewhere, but I don't think I can make a good race.
Well, honestly, you did a fantastic job today. Pole position, led every single lap, was able to defend against Togo Hisada on the final lap with that lunge. What a birthday present. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
That was Jorge Nieva winning today's race in that number 1 car.
Doing a wonderful job and having to stave off the challenge of this driver who's with me right now in Togo Hisada. Now, Togo, kyo anata wa Jorge ni daidokoro no shinku o nagemashita ga tanjoubi no shonen o taosu ni wa junbun de wa arimasen deshita?
Oh my god. Yeah. It's so funny. Yeah, just completely lost. I beaten by Jorge. Yeah, just the first of all, my crossing lap is not good today. So I did not take a pole position, and the Willow Springs is really all of corners very complicated. So I tried to fill up Jorge's Mila as big as I can, but he did not mistake until the very last lap. And it looks like my only opportunity is braking for turn 1, I think. Yeah. So his braking is very late every lap. So just wait for last lap and just last lap trying for me. But still he's braking later than me. And of course I lose the control. So I just I try everything, but Jorge is faster than me actually. Yeah. Simply today. Yeah.
Well, for those, of course, who are not fluent in Japanese, that was Togo. You threw the kitchen sink at Jorge today.
No. Yes, it's very great. Yeah, it's great. Jokes in Japanese. Yes, very. You're very correct Japanese, and it's just very good. Very good. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Thank you. But it was you threw the kitchen sink at Jorge today, but it was not enough to beat the birthday boy. But for you, Togo, a race out there today that you look at what's happened over the course of this season. You are gunning for your 4th title here, and the gap in the championship now shrinks down to 2 championship points. How important is it for you to have kept just pushing forward and mistake behind by Nicola, which meant that you still hold the championship lead, heading, of course, to Daytona in 1 week's time?
Yeah. Daytona, of course, will be a pack racing, so I'm very afraid about that. And of course, maybe I crash, maybe I take the win, or maybe I take everything happening. So just I think just concentrated to the next apex, and not to think about that too deeply, and just playing, just trying to drive the car as fast as possible. It's my way to take the championship for the last 3 times. So I'll keep it up under that. I hope to take a fourth title, this season. So just try everything. Yeah.
Well, you are on the road to it. The floor is yours. Anybody like to thank Togo? It's a P2 here today at Willow Springs.
Lotus 49 community and the GSRC streaming team. Thank you very much.
Well, there you have it. Togo Hisada joining us there, 2nd position overall here today. Now, the driver just behind him was Nicola Cocchi. He finished 3rd. Joey Atterbury has caught up with him.
Nicola Cocchi, first of all, congratulations on the 3rd place finish. I know it wasn't as far up as you wanted to get, but the podium is never a bad thing.
Yeah, hi guys. No, it's never a bad thing, but I don't think I deserved much more than this because I made way too many mistakes. And so, yeah, third place is okay.
Talk to me about turn number 1 and turn number 2, because that kind of seemed to be your downfall today.
Yeah, I don't think turn 2 is a problem at all, but T1 was so difficult to judge, honestly. I kept changing my reference point and changing many times, but sometimes I was getting too short. Many times I was getting too long. So I don't know why today was like this, but normally it's not. And maybe because I had like a double toe that was new for me. But yeah, I struggled a lot with T1. But judging by what Jorge and Togo did, they were struggling too.
There was a lot of extra stuff going on down there in turn number 1 and 2. What do you think about this kind of track and car configuration? Because it's not the first time the 49s have raced at Big Willow, but it is one of the lesser known racetracks, and it's relatively small but extremely high speed.
Yeah, I really like this track. You know, I heard somebody just comparing it with Autumn Park, but for me, it's just like night and day. This track is much better for this car, or at least for my driving style, and it fits a lot better. It's so fun to drive this car here. It's very technical track. You have to learn and try again all the line, all the reference point. But once you get it right, it flows so nicely, and you have a couple of very nice banked corner, which is a joy to drive with this slidey car. But you still have to fight against overheating the tires, pushing too much. Sliding the rear too much, which is you know, my biggest flaw in my driving. And so maybe that's what actually you know, slow me down today, because I was struggling a little bit with overheating. I was trying to getting, you know, calmer and more collected on my driving, but it's not easy to do this here. And I really like it. It's not easy at all to pass here, just like you saw with Togo and Jorge. But apart from that, I very like this track.
Well, I gotta say, thank you for coming out and racing with us every single week. You're always one of the fastest guys up front, always putting on a show. So thank you very much. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Of course. I want to give a shout out to you as well, but today in particular to Jorge, because it's his birthday. I don't know how many years he did today, but you know, I'm sure that he will stay with us many other years. I want to give a shout to Seb, which is finally back. So we get it back, the good old Seb, and you know, every other single driver which drive with us every Saturday and makes this community so good, so enjoyable, so easy to enter, and gives so much support from everybody. It's a pleasure to be here.
That was Nicola Cocky driving that number 2 car with the lime green helmet, finishing on the podium today at Big Willow.
Wonderful bit of work there. We are going to very quickly get a chance to talk to Cam Porter, who always likes to have a chat with us. Cam, you were throwing quite a few moves out there today in the mid to late pack of this field. Just talk us through your race.
It was a really fun one. I kind of blew my qualifying. I knew I had a little bit more pace in the race, going by my practice times. I was in the 17s and my qualifying was at 18.8 or something. So blew my qualifying. Obviously, I was one of the slowest cars on the grid. But once the race got going, I picked up some pace and had a great battle with several drivers. And it wasn't, you know, I made up spots, I think, and it wasn't just from attrition. You know, I worked for that, and had a really fun, thrilling race with several drivers out there today.
You were the second biggest mover in the field. You gained 8 places over the course of that race. So big thumbs up indeed for that. But talking about that as a confidence builder, able to gain places. We're heading, of course, next week to a track where it's all about gaining those places. How do you feel about Daytona?
Oh, that's going to be a tough one. Obviously, drafting battles. So today I just wanted to focus on keeping the car straight, not overdriving the car, which I successfully did today. Hopefully I can continue that momentum into Daytona next week.
Well, we'll hope that opportunity comes over for you. Cam Porter there joining us, a gain of 8 over to 14th position. Myself out of the channel and joining us then over the course of action today. That will pretty much bring proceedings over to a close for today's action here from Willow Springs and the Grand Prix Legends Series. Want to give a massive thanks to those who get it done for us here today, from Joey, from Christian, and from Dougie as well. You can catch all of the amazing products that have brought this show over to you, including the work that has been done on the music by June Lalonde. You can catch her stuff on Bandcamp if you haven't listened to her stuff before. But there are so many great races coming up over the next 3 to 4 weeks as we head towards the end of another iRacing season, and you definitely want to jump in a little bit later on today with us over with the action with the Camel Series out there. So you definitely want to mark down all of what you see on the calendar and put it through, including following all of our social links, our website, and going over to our merch store to get your 0.2 extra speed on a GSRC show. But from everything that has brought it together, this championship tightens up even more. A birthday delight for Jorge Nieva. Togo Hosada's spin is not what he was hoping for here today, but he'll take the second place points. Opportunities will knock, and it's Slipstream Central 1 week from today. Race clean, race hard. We'll see you at Daytona Beach, Florida.
Wow.